Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We are embarking on a fascinating scientific journey following the exact life cycle of a simple raindrop and figuring out how it fundamentally fuels agriculture. To help us navigate what is honestly a pretty complex topic, we're going to be relying on our animated stickman scientist guide here. He's going to lead us through a kind of storybook journey, breaking down the incredible science, the intricate geography, and the vital government policies that totally dictate how water transforms into the actual food on our plates. So let's just dive right into it.
Okay, we literally have to start with a massive eye-opening paradox. When you think of India's geography, your mind probably jumps straight to the mighty Ganga or Brahmaputra rivers with their absolutely massive catchments, right? But here's the crazy thing. Large tracts of the country are actually highly deficient in rainfall and are incredibly prone to severe droughts. And because of this extreme variability, a staggering 84% of all available water in the entire country is swallowed up by irrigation alone. Just think about that for a second. While our industrial and domestic sectors use just a tiny fraction of our water, agriculture demands almost the whole shebang. It's wild.
So, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The Indian water paradox. 2. Matching crops to soil. 3. Flood versus drip irrigation. 4. The ecological fallout. 5. Policies for water efficiency. And finally, 6. The future of farming.
Starting off with Section 1, the Indian water paradox, geography and thirst.
So, taking a look at the climate data, precipitation in India has extreme spatial and temporal variation. That's a fancy way of saying rain doesn't fall evenly across space or time. The monsoon season brings incredibly heavy rains to specific river catchments. In fact, that accounts for 60% of surface water resources in just 1/3 of the country's total area. But on the flip side, massive tracts of land, like the western dry regions of Rajasthan and the semi-arid Deccan Plateau, are just left incredibly dry. Without immense human intervention and carefully planned, highly scientific irrigation, agriculture in these vast regions would literally be impossible. We have to artificially move the water to where the thirst is.
Moving into Section 2, matching crops to soil, the micro view. Now, modern farming isn't just throwing seeds in the dirt and hoping for the best. It's a rigorous scientific process. Farmers have to meticulously evaluate local soil moisture and the specific biological needs of a crop. That biology dictates exactly how the plant must be watered. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. For crops like wheat or leafy vegetables, they use the border strip method, which allows water to flow evenly over a gently sloping, rectangular piece of land. But let's say you're growing cotton or incredibly thirsty crops like sugarcane. For those, you'd use the furrow method, digging small channels where water flows. This deep soaks the roots while protecting the sensitive lower stems from rotting away in standing water. And for orchard trees, well, the basin method is absolutely perfect, creating a circular pool that holds water right at the base of the tree. It is a highly precise matching game between hydrology and biology.
And you know, sometimes the physical landscape itself demands adaptation. Think about hilly regions. Normally, gravity would pull water away way too quickly down a hill, causing massive soil erosion. So, farmers physically altered the topography using a scientific approach. They carved the landscape into stepped basins. This completely ingenious method captures and holds rainwater, allowing for highly productive irrigation in environments that would otherwise just be totally hostile to farming.
All right, Section 3, flood versus drip irrigation, the macro conflict.
Let's compare these two major methods head-to-head, because this is a huge deal. On one side, we have flood, or surface irrigation. This is historically dominant, especially in the Green Revolution belts, places like Punjab and Haryana. It basically involves simply flooding the fields with canal or groundwater. The big problem here? Over 50% of the water is just lost. It's lost to deep drainage and evaporation. It's gone. On the other side of the ring, we have drip, or micro-irrigation. This highly targeted approach is fundamentally changing how we deliver water in arid and semi-arid states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan.
Our scientist guide loves this part. Think of drip irrigation like a precise IV drip for plants. Instead of just flooding the whole area and hoping the plant gets what it needs, water is delivered drop by drop directly to the root zone. This incredible science achieves an astounding 80 to 90% field water efficiency. It drastically minimizes evaporation and runoff. Plus, it allows for something called fertigation. That's the highly efficient delivery of liquid fertilizers directly through the water pipes straight to the roots. It's a massive technological leap forward for agriculture.
Which brings us to Section 4, the ecological fallout, a heavy toll. Well, when we don't use these efficient scientific methods, the unintended consequences are actually quite severe. driven by highly subsidized energy and the absolute overuse of water-intensive crops. Unscientific water management has led to intense environmental degradation. We're seeing this right now in states like Haryana and Maharashtra. Over-irrigation without proper drainage has caused severe waterlogging and the salinization of the soil, which is literally drawing toxic salts to the surface and ruining the productive land. On top of that, we are seeing rapidly depleted groundwater aquifers due to excessive pumping. And down in coastal areas, this lack of fresh river flow is actually allowing ocean saltwater to intrude and poison the underground freshwater. It's a domino effect.
Ultimately, it boils down to this reality. Faulty irrigation practices and the absence of proper drainage facilities are not only responsible for massive water wastage, but also increased salinity and alkalinity. Now, the Green Revolution undoubtedly secured our food supply, and that was vital, but it left behind a significant ecological debt. And today, we're in a position where we must use science and better practices to finally repay that debt.
Section 5. Policies for Water Efficiency. The structural solution.
If you take away just one single number from this entire section, please make it this one, 20%. The National Water Mission has set a specific, highly aggressive mandate to improve water use efficiency across the entire country by 20%. Remember how we said earlier that agriculture uses 84% of our water? Yeah, achieving a 20% efficiency boost across the board means totally revolutionizing our entire irrigation network. It's a monumental goal.
So how do we actually hit that 20% goal? Well, the government has launched several strategic interventions. First, the National Water Policy of 2002 explicitly prioritizes drinking water and efficient irrigation. Then we have massive schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchaya Yojana, or PMKSY. This operates with slogans like Har Kit Ko Pani to improve general access and per drop more crop, specifically to boost that drip microirrigation we talked about. But microirrigation is expensive to install, so to offset those high costs, a dedicated microirrigation fund was set up with NABARD to heavily subsidize farmers. Additionally, programs like Command Area Development are absolutely essential right now to reduce the lingering gap between the irrigation potential we've built and what farmers are actually utilizing on the ground.
And finally, Section 6. The Future of Farming, Shifting the Paradigm. Okay, prepare to have your mind blown for a second. There's this concept introduced by Professor Allen called virtual water. Basically, this is the hidden, embedded water required to produce an agricultural commodity. For example, it takes 1,600 cubic meters of real physical water to grow just 1 metric ton of wheat. So think about what that means. When a dry, drought-prone region exports wheat or sugarcane to another state, they aren't just exporting food. No, they are literally exporting millions of liters of their precious, scarce, virtual water. It means a drought-prone state is essentially exporting its own long-term water security to other regions. Understanding this concept fundamentally changes how we need to plan agriculture in arid zones. So what exactly is the roadmap for tomorrow? How do we fix this? First, we must shift our core metric of success from land productivity, which is just yield per acre, to water productivity. We also desperately need robust crop diversification, actively nudging farmers to align their crops with their natural agroclimatic zones rather than constantly fighting nature. Furthermore, adopting practices like zero-budget natural farming can drastically improve soil health, so it naturally retains more moisture. And crucially, we must empower participatory irrigation management. This means turning farmers from passive consumers into active water managers and placing the responsibility and power of water distribution directly into the hands of the local farming communities themselves.
And we can't forget the big picture. Securing our irrigation isn't just about laying down fancy pipes or digging bigger canals. It requires a truly holistic view. It's about protecting the natural ecosystems, preserving the native forests, and maintaining the upstream river catchments that supply the water in the first place. You see, good irrigation policy is fundamentally good environmental policy. They are one and the same.
Ultimately, all of this science, all this policy, and all of this geography boils down to this simple, powerful summarizing thought. We must completely realign our focus from maximizing the yield per acre of land to maximizing the yield per drop of water. More crop per drop isn't just a slogan, it's literally the only sustainable way forward for our stickman scientists, for our farmers, and honestly, for all of us.
Which leaves us with an incredibly complex challenge. Given the severe ecological fallout we've discussed and that mind-bending concept of virtual water, I really want to ask you this. Should water-heavy crops like paddy and sugarcane be strictly banned by the government in India's drought-prone regions?
It's a super delicate balance between scientific necessity, economic policy, and the everyday livelihoods of millions of hardworking farmers. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. So please jump into the comments below and let's debate this. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.